The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Our all in all, the Savior, the Protector, the Unifier, the Messiah, the King of Kings, the most loved. Captain Ibrahim Traore has signed a gold deal with the King of the world and the Savior of the world, Vladimir Putin, days after the attempted coup on his governance. And the West is in shock. Even African leaders, some of them are doing purple that he did that because he wants to use Russia as a means of protection. You are also using the West as a means of protection to be doing all the things that you are doing in Africa, yet nobody is talking about it. And the West have started pointing fingers at the King of the world, that he is benefiting out of the crisis. I don't know which crisis. Fighting for freedom has become crisis to the West and America. I don't know what they understand by crisis. Europe, you are in crisis because now things are very expensive over there. The things that you are going through in Europe, the crisis that is in Europe, you are not talking about it. And when Africa decided to do the needful for its people, you are saying Africa is in crisis and Russia is benefiting. According to reports, Burkina Faso grants mining licenses to Russian North Gold for gold projects. Burkina Faso has granted an industrial mining license to Russian miner North Gold for a gold project. The military-led West African government said, aiming to capitalize on record high gold prices to strengthen an economy hit by insecurity. The move signaled deepening economic ties between Russia and Burkina Faso as the junta that seized power in 2022 continues its pivot away from traditional Western alliance towards Moscow.
And Wagner gold mines now belong to the government. Until Tuesday, the 27th of August 2024, the Bangu and Wagner gold mines were owned by an African mining company. However, Ouagadougou has agreed a deal to nationalize the mines for around $80 million. And Devil Mining, which agreed to sell Bongo and Wagner to Lilium last year for more than $300 million, had accused the travel of missing payment. Meanwhile, Lilium argued that London-listed Endeavour had misrepresented and hidden financial information about the mines. However, as part of Tuesday's agreement, the companies are to abandon their legal cases against each other. The nationalization follows a growing pattern of African governments, especially those under military hunters, attempting to exert greater control over their natural resources.
In a move that has sent shockwaves through Western capitals and left their media scrambling for narratives, Burkina Faso has deepened its ties with Russia, granting an industrial mining license to Russian miner Nordgold for a gold project. This is not just a business deal. It is a declaration of war against neo-colonial exploitation, a bold step toward reclaiming our wealth, our dignity, and our future. The revolution in Burkina Faso is shaking the West to its core, and Africans across the continent are rallying behind Traore, hailing him as a beacon of hope in our collective fight for liberation. Let me break it down for you, piece by piece, so you can feel the pulse of this historic moment. Let's start with the mining deal that has the West clutching their pearls. For centuries, foreign powers, France, Britain, Canada, Australia, have sunk their claws into Africa's soil, extracting our gold, our diamonds, our uranium, and leaving us with nothing but crumbs. Burkina Faso, one of the world's top gold producers, has been no exception. Western mining companies have operated with impunity, reaping billions while our people languish in poverty. But Captain Traore said, enough is enough. Since seizing power in a 2022 coup, he has made it his mission to dismantle this parasitic system. He kicked out Western miners who exploited Burkina Faso's wealth without contributing to its development, sending a clear message. Our resources belong to us, and we will decide who gets to touch them. Enter Nordgold, a Russian mining company which has just been granted an industrial mining license for the Neo gold deposit in Corweogo province. This is no ordinary deal, my people. Unlike the looting sprees of Western companies, this project is structured to benefit Burkina Faso first. The Burkinabe state will hold a 15% stake in the project without contributing a single franc up front, as mandated by the country's new mining code. This means our government will receive dividends, royalties, and other financial returns without bearing the risks or costs of development. Over its 8-year lifespan, the project is expected to inject 51.5 billion CFA francs, $89 million, into the state's budget and 7.06 billion CFA francs into the Mineral Wealth Fund. It will create 204 jobs, 75 direct and 129 indirect, and sustain employment at the Bissa Gold SA mine. Now, some might look at the 8% stake held by Nordgold and cry foul, but let's be real. This is a far cry from the days when Western companies took 100% and left us with dust. But why Nordgold? Why Russia? Let's talk strategy. In an interview with Alain Foucault, Captain Traoré made it clear, if the Russians want a mine, they must follow our rules and apply like everyone else. This isn't about favoritism, it's about trade, the kind of trade that benefits both sides. Burkina Faso is a nation under construction, rebuilding from the ground up after decades of colonial and neo-colonial plunder. We need military equipment, agricultural tools, infrastructure, and most crucially, a military-industrial complex to secure our sovereignty. Traoré's government has announced plans to build this defence industry, a move that requires not just money but technology transfer. Who's going to provide that? The United States? France? The same powers that enslaved us, colonised us, and now want to keep us tethered to their CFA franc and their military bases? Hell no. Those who pillaged Africa for centuries have no interest in seeing us rise. But Russia and China, they're playing a different game, offering partnerships that don't come with the strings of domination. If we want a multipolar world, we must look eastward, not westward. And if that means paying for a nuclear plant or military technology with a gold mine, so be it. This is Trade 101, my people, using what we have to get what we need. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the coup attempt that nearly claimed Traoré's life. Just days ago, Burkina Faso's military government announced it had foiled a major plot to overthrow Traoré, orchestrated from neighbouring Ivory Coast. This wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. The parallels to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero, are chilling. In the 1980s, Sankara expelled colonial France, nationalised resources, and restored dignity to his people. He was a liberator, a visionary, but his defiance cost him his life. France, unable to tolerate an African leader who dared to say no, backed a coup that assassinated Sankara in 1987. Fast forward to 2025, and the playbook hasn't changed. Traoré, like Sankara, is dismantling the neo-colonial order, expelling French troops, rejecting the CFA franc, and aligning with Russia. And just like Sankara, he's become a target. But here's where the story takes a revolutionary twist. This isn't the 1980s, and Traoré isn't alone. Russia's involvement in the Sahel has changed the game, not just through military muscle, but through something far more powerful: intelligence. Africa's intelligence framework has historically been weak, deliberately so to keep our leaders vulnerable to foreign manipulation. Colonial powers could look an African president in the eye and tell them their days were numbered, and it would come to pass. But today, with Russia's support, the Sahel is building a robust intelligence network that's foiling these plots left and right. Burkina Faso isn't the only country where coups have failed recently. Mali's junta leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, also survived a similar attempt. Something extraordinary is happening, my people. The old colonial tricks are losing their edge, and Russia's role in strengthening our defences is a game changer. Wagner PMC fighters and Africa Corps troops are part of the equation, but it's the intelligence boost that's keeping our leaders alive and our revolutions intact.
We will move away from anyone that is keeping us under oppress. We need people who allow us to be who we are. Africa is backwards because we have always been with people who decide everything that we must do. the food we must eat, the water we must drink, even where we must sleep. They have taken Africa to be like an object, excuse my language, that they can manipulate anyhow they want. And that is why they don't want Africa to be free. And African rising becomes a threat to them. They give us systems that will keep us under oppressed for them to continue to rule us. Other African leaders love being oppressed, and that is why they have decided to be the gatekeepers that will take control over everything of the West, instead of them fighting the systems that are made to cripple the African. Russia, with history we know, has always been for Africa. As other people are determining the kind of weapons that we should use to protect ourselves, Russia is training us, making sure that we manufacture the modern weapons that we need to be able to protect ourselves against these people. These people are always making sure that Africa remain poor, so that they can continue to be taking the resources away. And that is why they see any leader that doesn't follow their model, which is the democracy they've given to us, becomes a threat to them. That is when they start tagging that leader, calling the leader a dictator. But one thing is for sure, now we've understood that any leader the West will tag as a dictator is the good leader who is fighting for our freedom. Africa is for Africans. We owe everything that is on our soil, and we have every right to decide the kind of people we want to partner with. The West must not sit down to tell us the people we should make friends with. Africa is not for them, and the people living in Africa are not their property. So they have to understand that they can't sit down to be telling us, moving us, turning us around anyhow they so wish. And it is only them that we can partner with. We have partnered with you for years and decades. What have we got to show from the partnership we have had with you? Change is constant, and Africans will continue to change. We will not continue to be doing the same old thing expecting different results. Russia has always protected us. Even when we're fighting for freedom, Russia was always with us. So if there is anybody that we want to move away from, it should be the West and not Russia. You are fighting us because we have decided to fight for our freedom. We have decided to get leaders who are doing everything possible to bring us a better Africa. That is the crime we've committed. All our freedom fighters that you have taken out, their crimes that they've committed against you was rising to defend the African. And you are still doing it today, and you continue to do, and will continue to fight, because this is no longer the time of Gaddafi, Nkrumah, Lumumba, Sankara. This is a new Africa where all Africans understand that our strength depends on our unity. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Burkina Faso.